So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here at Endagala, which is in the middle of the forest here, and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought that maybe could start with just a little meditation, so we can lean forward and arch the spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And when breathing in and out, can try to make the breath as comfortable as possible. Can focus in at the tip of the nose. And then just ask the question in the mind, what would be a really comfortable way to breathe right now? And then one can let the body respond on its own. And if the mind wanders away from the breath, can just bring it back. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. Okay, so we can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So hope that everybody's having a great day, wherever it might be. And came back out here to Endagala, and looks like there was some visitors in the night. Saw some footprints. Wasn't sure if it was tonight or a different night, but sometimes different animals come by here. And so yes, thought to record a short Dhamma discussion. So had asked suttas.com a while ago if they had any questions they'd like to see a Dhamma discussion about, and one of them was how to deal with people from other religions who are very forceful in converting others to their religions. And so it's kind of interesting, as a monk, one often encounters, or sometimes encounters this if one is in the West. And kind of you have this kind of emblem. So sometimes people who would want to convert other people feel like it would be, I guess, a bigger win if they're able to convert a monk. So sometimes encounter them, and sometimes they can be there's different ways. Some of them just want to convert. Some of them have like a little bit of a superior attitude. They basically want to have a kind of religious debate or something and prove that their religion is superior to yours. Or kind of insult your religion and elevate their own. Basically these are the two types of people you just encounter. One, like as a monk at least, it might be the same for lay people, that one would encounter on the street. And so in both of these cases, basically if it's an aggressive person who is intent on demeaning your religion and basically intent on attacking you, and they more or less want to fight and kind of want to say bad things about your religion, and they are expecting you to say similar bad things about theirs and have this kind of argument. The best thing to do with those kinds of people is to not engage with them. And kind of there was one time I was on a subway, and I was standing there, and there was a fellow across from me, and he started making comments. There was a fellow who came by, he was homeless. He was asking for money, and I didn't give him any because I don't have money. And he started making comments, kind of, insulting temples and saying, they're kind of hoarding wealth, and he started muttering different things and talking about, his religion, which was Christianity. And so I got up and left and went, a few doors down. And he still seemed to be kind of looking around, and I don't know, can't remember if he was muttering still, but maybe he's still like itching for a fight a little bit. And so that's one case where one basically wants to avoid the situation, because nothing good will basically come out of it, either for oneself or for the other person. Basically they want to fight, and if one gets into a fight, it's like picking up kind of hot coals or excrement and trying to throw it at somebody else. One gets burned first, and if you hit them, they get burned, and if they hit you back, then you get burned or get excrement flung at you, and the whole thing is just a mess. Nobody really wins. So the other type of person that one might meet on the street is one who wants to convert one, but has like a little bit more like a humble attitude, kind of like a kind attitude. And these people, sometimes, one doesn't necessarily just want to shut them down. If they approach one in a polite way and start speaking in a polite way, then one can kind of politely refuse. It's basically one learns to tone one's response to people one meets on the street to try to match their level of emotion, whatever kind of emotion they're bringing. So if they're basically just just kind of kind people, then one can respond in a kind way too. Sometimes if they don't go on, one can listen to them a little too, and then say, that's fine. I won't convert, whatever it might be. And if they continue on after that, I say, I don't really want to talk about this anymore, something like this, and that should be enough to give them the message. And sometimes if they're having a kind of nice conversation and just talking about religion, one can speak with them. Maybe they have a subtle idea to convert, but it's nothing too overt. Might just go on, them talking about their religion, asking about yours. So one has to feel the situation out in times like this. If the person approaches one respectfully, one can show them respect as well. If they approach with an attitude of anger, then one basically just wants to disengage, and there's a whole maybe range of things in between. Of course, these aren't hard and fast rules. There's kind of different responses. One may just not want to say anything at all. So those are those cases where one is just meeting people on the street are maybe the easier ones. The more difficult cases are ones where one has a family member who wants to convert one, or a spouse who wants to convert one. I've discussed with some people. It's interesting. In many of the Sri Lankas I met, they're very successful in having marriages where one person is one religion, another person is another religion, and it's pretty neat to see that they're able to do this. There's one person who I was talking to one time, and there's kind of a conflict between them and their spouse. I don't think their spouse is actually trying to convert them, but they were Buddhist and their spouse was Christian, and their spouse kind of became like a born-again Christian, became very fervent, and then didn't want any monks in the house or anything like this. And so we got to discussing, and I think what eventually worked for that person was basically not to say anything demeaning about their spouse's religion, about Christianity, and basically to behave in a way that was good, but also not to relinquish one's own religious practices. And in the end, I think they went to church sometimes, and then the husband started going to some dhanas and other Buddhist activities. And in the end, I think they were able to find a good overlap between those things. So this is a much more tricky situation, one that requires a lot more long-term skill and long-term kind of patience. So if it's a close family member, if it's a close friend, or if it's if it's one's spouse, then so long as that person has an idea, the spouse has an idea that they want to kind of live in a way that's harmonious with their spouse who's a Buddhist or whatever it is, then even though they might want to convert, there's still a possibility of finding this kind of common ground. There's still this possibility. And in that case, one basically doesn't want to get into insulting the religion. If they try to draw one into an argument about religion, one doesn't need to say. And then one basically just learns to behave in line with Buddhist teachings, Buddhist principles, practicing generosity, practicing meditation, and practicing the precepts. And actually, most of the conversions that people will encounter are going to be from, usually people have these religious principles in their own religion, and they tend to, I guess you say, like instinctively respect when they see another person practicing those. So if one doesn't get into a fight and one practices Buddhism well, then that in and of itself can create a kind of ground for commonality. You have this good thing in your religion, I have this good thing in mine. And from there, one can work to find other kind of common grounds. Maybe if they have some, I don't know, one doesn't have to convert to Christianity, but one can, obviously, one can kind of, participate in a church lunch or something like this. I don't know too much about these activities. And similarly, if the spouse is willing to go to a dana one time or something like this, then there can be a kind of common ground with the understanding that basically nobody's going to convert. And so these are a couple of the ways that one can encounter people from other religions who are very insistent on converting others to their religion, and a couple suggestions on how to deal with it. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and hope that everybody has a great day, and wishing you all the best till next time.